Who needs to hear that? Stop consuming spirituality like a content. They are teaching you the language, but they're not teaching you the psychology behind the language. The buzzword being used to attract audience, mantra, tantra, yantra, kundalini, merkaba. These are not some mystical accessories, my love. They're hardcore psychological, spiritual technologies of consciousness, and every one of them has a psychological prerequisite. So let's go deeper today. First is mantra. Mantra is not about some sound pleasing the divine. It is about interrupting the mental loops in your psyche. Your brain runs on repetition. Trauma is repetition. Identity is repetition. Fear is repetition. A true mantra, once awakened and invoked in your heart chakra, crown chakra, and your root chakra, forming a trinity, basically destabilize your unconscious patterns and install new rhythm in your subconscious psyche as well as in your nervous system. But if your subconscious is full of unprocessed grief, suppressed rage and anger, validation, hunger, the same mantra will collide with those energy and create more friction than purification until you basically purify the last three chakras as well as forming a trinity. But most people quit here because they're not disciplined enough. Tantra is not sexual mysticism. It's a shadow confrontation. Psychologically, Tantra demands integration of what you reject about yourself. Your envy, your jealousy, your control issue, your comparison, your copycat nature, your abandonment wounds. If you bypass that and jump straight into some tantric divine union, you're not so awakened, you're simply dissociated. Yantra is not geometry for aesthetic. It is cognitive restructuring through symbolic architecture. Sacred geometry stabilizes perception, my love. It trains the mind to hold paradox. Paradox means stillness and motion at the same point of time, form and void at the same point of time. If your psyche cannot tolerate paradox, you will distort the symbol to fit your ego. Now comes the Kundalini. Kundalini is the evolutionary Shakti, the pressure. It forces the unconscious negative emotion to come into the surface. Psychologically, that means memories you buried, identities that you outgrew, defenses you built to survive. If your ego structure is fragile, this will feel like collapse when it start awakening within you. If your ego is inflated, this will turn into some spiritual grandiosity. But both are imbalanced. Merkaba, the so-called light body, it is not some fantasy vehicle. Esoterically, it represents coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, your actions, your values align, your energy field becomes geometrically stable. That stability feels like expansion. But expansion without integration becomes fragmentation. This is why so many people chase activation and end up anxious, unstable, spiritually arrogant, or burnt out. Because they wanted transcendence without integration. Real awakening is psychological maturity plus spiritual depth. It is the nervous system regulation, shadow integration, and ego refinement, not ego inflammation or inflation. Inflation. Discipline practice, not some aesthetic performance. The esoteric truth, my love, before energy rises, identity has to reorganize itself. Before power stabilizes, the shadow has to integrate itself. Before illumination, the unconscious has to empty itself. Awakening is not about escaping the human experience. It is about becoming structurally so strong enough to hold more consciousness without breaking down. They teach the symbols. They don't teach you the psyche. And that is the problem right there. And without psychological integration, spiritual power becomes distortion. And if you really want activation, do the internal architecture work. Because enlightenment is not about getting high. It is all about being coherent.